Hi, September 29, 2015. Daniel Weekly 42. That's a kind of an accomplishment. 42. Yeah. So I'm going to ApacheCon this week. I'll be talking Friday in Budapest. So if you're there, meet me and say hi. I forgot to mention before that some of us friends are going back to FOSDEM 2016 in the last weekend in January 2016. So do join us in FOSDEM. That's a great event. I plan to submit some kind of talk this year as well, but for FOSDEM they're really pretty late, so I don't have to consider that yet. So I'm gonna submit something later on. If you have ideas or suggestions what you wanna hear from me, let me know. Other things that has been going on. I noticed that the share of HTTP2 traffic as share of HTTP traffic in Firefox has bumped one notch up to 14% of all HTTP responses, which equals roughly to 30% of all responses over HTTPS, which is starting to become a fairly big amount of traffic. I would imagine that this is because nginx now shipped HTTP2 in their public official release version. So now there are popping up more HTTP2 servers everywhere, every day. So, yay, going forward there. Other things that happen in the browser world is that we worked on. I shouldn't say we. I didn't do it. I only reviewed the patches for the Brotli. I don't really know how they pronounce this. Brotli compression algorithm. So. In Firefox with bug 366559, we now support accept encoding Brotli compression in Firefox, so that the server can send resources compressed with Brotli instead of gzip or compress. And really, gzip is the only one used out of those. And Brotli is quite CPU intensive to compress things, but it compresses some sort of data really, really good, and it's fairly fast to decompress. So it's really an algorithm to use for static resources, perhaps, that are huge and you want to send them faster over the network. And now Firefox supports it, and Chrome has said that they will support it. Maybe they already do. They were just slightly behind, but they're coming. So anyway, I was then I looked. Oh, yeah, I want to make curl do that too. And then I took a look at the official Google source repository for Brotli, and it turns out they only provide some sort of only source code made for their command line tool, really. So there's an encoder directory and there's a decoder directory, and there's a lot of files. And annoyingly, there are even the encoder is C++ and the decoder is C. Anyway, just a bunch of source files. So I thought that was a really annoying way to ship something if I want to do something for curl, that then I want to have a library to use and check for it within the configure file and use it if it's there and blah, blah, blah. So I wrote up a libbrotli project. I put it on GitHub to build a library out of the Brotli source codes. And I polished that a little bit, and now it seems to work. It builds a library including decoder and encoder, and you can run make install to install the headers in a place, and you could probably use make this too to make a release version out of that. Well, perhaps you can. I'm not convinced, but I haven't tried that. The main point was to be able to run configure and to do make install, so that I can get a library that I can detect and use with curl, basically. And I know there's at least one other project that has now started to use it and play with it, so we'll see where that goes. I mentioned that my fun performance bug last week, the bug of the week last week, the -- libcurl option, which adds source code to huge linked lists, and it just gets slower and slower and slower as the list grows, doing many URLs. And now we have a fix for that the fix is already landed. It basically just makes sure that if you don't use that -curl, it won't add anything to the code. That's the immediate fix. And then we have another fix pending, and we haven't merged that yet, but that's it makes sure it'll just change the linked list function used for this purpose, so that it'll just keep pointed to the last line too, so it could just append very fast instead of traversing the entire list. That was really a stupid mistake, but it is going to be fixed. And it's not even by me, it's by a great contributor, so yay, way to go. I love it when people step up and help us out. I mentioned, I believe, before a couple of weeks ago that I started to do the HTTP2 Explain translation to Swedish, and man, it is quite a lot of work to translate something. Even when I wrote the English original myself, okay, of course, I got help, so it's been improved over time, not only by me then, but other people have helped me rephrase and improve paragraphs and so on. But still, translating that to Swedish was, it took me, I think, about 2 weeks. Not that I've done it full time, I've just gone back and forth into these sections. And then I finally, yesterday, I just got the final chapters out, and I pushed them, and then I read it, and it was so full of spelling mistakes and weird phrases in Swedish then. So yeah, I pushed updates, and it is getting there. So if you're Swedish and you want to read it in Swedish, do go ahead and read it and file all those mistakes and spelling errors that are still remaining, or improvements you can find and whatever. That, of course, goes for all the translations that you can find for HTTP Explain, which are now quite a lot of them. I think we're at six languages in addition to the English original. I've also been discussing, I posted this cheat sheet for curl. Was that last week? Well, slightly before last week. And that has sort of got a lot of attention everywhere from people who are actually thinking that they need something like that and it is a good idea. And then there's a sort of a backlash from all the people that are asking me, so okay, here's a cheat sheet, but why isn't this in the man page? Why is this on a random page on internet and not the primary page on the curl website or the curl man page? So yeah, of course it can be on the curl web site at some point, but I wanted to just float it somewhere and kind of get people's feedback and work on it and polish on it before I took it there. And so far the number of contributions to improve this cheat sheet has been about this big, but basically non-existent. So yeah, I should get it into the curl website at some point. But of course, then the question is about putting it in the man page. It is a cheat sheet. It is a slightly sort of a format that is made for putting in a single little piece of a page, so you can print it and make it an image or show it or have it a t-shirt. I want to have it on a t-shirt upside down so you can watch. So, but it's really not that easy. I mean, a man page is a kind of a reference document, how to use the command line tool. So if you type man curl and putting first it is HTTP only in that cheat sheet. So putting just HTTP only options is sort of weird. And putting that cheat sheet somewhere at the top of the man page, first it would have to be ASCII encoded only, and yeah, that seems really hard to get into the man page in a good way. I think maybe it could be a separate man page, perhaps, kind of man curl cheat sheet. But I don't know. And then when I talked about this on the mailing list, we got back to this discussion about how to improve the help output for curl the command line tool. So maybe we could have, if you do curl -- help topic HTTP, for example, and then you would get all options and you could get some extra text for that topic or help subject or whatever, and that could include that. I'm not sure that it'll look very good in sort of an ASCII formatted version, but we could try it out. Or rather, as I said it on the mailing list, I think if someone just made it happen, we could just try it out. So I'm not sure I am the one who's going to do that. I think I have a plate that is pretty full enough already. So I'm sort of throwing out ideas here and see what sticks in the audience. If there are people who think there are good ideas, maybe they can step up and just try it out and help me and help us and just see what works. Just a couple of days ago, we got this very interesting bug report. It was about HTTP2 performance, download transfer performance in curl, really. And here is the story. If the guy, I don't remember his name right now. There it is. He's Mohammed Al-Saleh. He realized that he figured out that he was doing a really big curl transfer, HTTP2 over HTTPS from a server, localhost. And he discovered that he got really crappy download rates, transfer rates for that. It would only download 1.5 megabyte per second from localhost, while he could do much more with the browser from localhost. So that's really strange, right? Why would curl have that sort of severe problem to do it? So I took a look at it. Looked strange. I saw these gaps in time for almost, I would see packet, and then a 38, 39, 40 milliseconds gap, and then packet, and then the gap, packet, and the gap. And I figured that could be some problem with the flow control window in HTTP2, so I figured maybe that's an HTTP2 problem. But it wasn't that. It turned out that after Tatsuhiro gave it a look, he's an awesome guy. So I didn't have to do any hard work at all. I just basically said, "Oh, can you recognize this?" And he said, "Here's the problem for you." So basically, it is about the Nagle algorithm in TCP, which sort of delays some packages, waiting if there is another package that will follow, and then it'll merge them and send them out both at once. So if you have the Nagle algorithm enabled, sometimes it'll delay some packages. So in my case, when you do it really high performance localhost, some of those packages is going out to the other end and says, "Oh, I have a bigger flow control window now, send me more." Some of those would be delayed. And delayed by 40 milliseconds on localhost. That is a massive amount of traffic that will just wait until it get more window, and then it'll bam, really cram a lot of data, and then it'll wait for those 39 milliseconds again rather soon, and then bam, wait, so it would never get up to a particular speed. So just disabling the Nagle algorithm, which is this socket option TCP_no delay, it made it really fly. So, but I had another minor performance fix too, in that we have, when doing a lot of transfers over the same connection, we can do thousands of simultaneous transfers over the same physical connection. That means internally in libcurl there will be a lot of traffic going on handles or transfers that are not related to socket activity, since there will only be one socket activity for one transfer basically, and then it'll empty the socket or read everything and put him in the different queues. And then we need to wake up the other transfers to take care of your data. So after we read off the socket, all the other handles need to have sort of wake up and read out the data from their incoming queues. Sort of an internal thing, but still we do that internally then by making sure that we wake up each handle, and we would even wake up our own handle, which is really unnecessary. So if you're doing a single stream on a single connection, there are no other transfers you need to wake up, so you never really need to wake up anyone else. So we could save that extra wake up handling too, which also kind of amounted to very little time we wasted on that, but still I took away that waste too. So from 1.5 megabytes per second transfer rate, wham, up to 428 megabytes per second in my tests now. So that's a factor of 285 kind of amazing. And what's more amazing is that neither Chrome or Firefox even reach 200 megabytes per second on my same computer. So I'm a bit fascinated by that fact. So curl is more than twice as fast as both curl and Firefox on my Linux machine. Cool, anyway. And my TCP no delay hint got. I submitted a pull request to the to the HTTP2 FAQ about it, so now it's in there. And I saw, yeah, that's it. And I wanted to mention the option of the week for the curl command line tool. One option that is very widely used, that is sometimes used too much, and it is the -k option, -k. The -- insecure is the long version. That tells curl to don't verify the remote. Skip. I don't care who it is. So it makes curl skip the checking of the HTTPS server certificates, and it skips if you're speaking SSH protocols like SFTP or SCP. It skips checking known hosts. So there's just that is the option you do when you you should only use that when kind of working out the command line. You don't use it in production. You shouldn't use it on servers that are actually out there, because you check the certificates to make sure that you're not being man in the middle. You're not a victim of some sort of attack or some imposter in the other end. So you really should never disable the certificate checks on a regular basis. It is fairly handy to ignore it at some times when you want to try out things, you want to experiment, you want to play around. Yeah, go ahead, then ignore it. It'll be perfect for that. But you should really be careful to make that -k option stick. That is sort of a sign of something bad. So you should really never use -k in a production script or production use of curl. In the libcurl version of the -k option is actually two different libcurl options. So it's in libcurl we switch off checking the name in the certificate and checking the certificate's digital signature itself as two different options. And -k switches off both of them. But it actually goes the same thing for libcurl. You should never run a production application or whatever that switches off the verification of the server cert. You should always do that, unless for some temporary fiddling or testing or experimental, or running your closed test environment perhaps. That's it for this week. I will be in Budapest this Friday. I will be in Copenhagen next Tuesday at the GOTO Conference. So if you're at the GOTO Conference in Copenhagen next week, come up and say hi. That's it for this week. This was 42. See you.